Boise, let's go for it. Let's have some fun. Music. Is it mutter? Is it usher? What's going on? You read the Shulchan Aruch and you're very confused. Read some Gemaras, the Gemara and Gittin. What is it talking about? If you didn't have the Gemara and Mishnah and Saita, let's get involved. Let's find out. And let's be surprised. Let's be enlightened. Let's learn a little halacha. Okay. So is music allowed during the 3 weeks? That's how we could start off. Because, it is today was Shvas B'Tamas. So are you allowed to listen to music during the 3 weeks? So you might start off a little surprised. You open up your Shulchan Aruch, and let me just look through Hilchos 3 weeks, right? Well, maybe not, whatever you want to call it, because the Sfardim don't exactly have the halachas of the 3 weeks. But you start looking through those halachas, and it doesn't say anywhere that you're not allowed to listen to music. What's going on? It doesn't say. It says you're not allowed to dance, rikudim and macholis, whatever exactly macholis are. But since for the dancing circles, whatever, seemingly it doesn't say you can't have music. So where's it from? So there's a Kapei Aaron that says the Shulchan Aruch didn't need to mention that you can't have music during the 3 weeks. You can't have music the whole year round. So what does it need to mention you can't have music during the 3 weeks? Let's see if that's so pashut or not so pashut. Let's find out. Okay, so let's get involved. Let's go to the sources. So we have a Mishnah in Saita. It's Saita Memches Min Aleph, where it says, Mishabatla Sanhedrin, Batal Hashir Mebeis HaMishtais. When they were Mevatel Sanhedrin, they stopped the shiur, the songs, from the Beis HaMishtais. The place, I guess, where you used to have a feast, you used to drink some wine. So in those places, they stopped the shiur in those places. Not the shiur like giving over a shiur. The shiur like the songs, that's stopped. Okay, fine. Now, if we just look, so why is it specifically Mishabatla Sanhedrin? What does Batla Sanhedrin have to do with anything? Jacob, come on. Why is Batla Sanhedrin? Why is that? What's the connection between them being Mevatel Sanhedrin and now having no shiur in the Beis HaMishtais? So there's two basic pshatim. There's the pshat of the Meiri. The pshat of the Meiri is that the Rabbanim wanted to have control. The Rabbanim wanted to be the gatekeepers, and make sure everything was in line with proper songs. They want things getting out of control. You want things being in the right spirit that it should be. When Sanhedrin was around and they were in charge, so therefore they made sure that everything would go in order as it should. But once Sanhedrin was batal, because it was Mount Chorban and the Sanhedrin was batal, now there was no longer the gatekeepers. There was no longer the Rabbanim in charge to make sure that everything would be in line with how it should be, with the proper levels of Kedusha, etc. And therefore, okay, if we can't be the gatekeepers, forget the whole thing. Let's get rid of no more music, no more singing, at least. The other pshat, which most hold, is that it was a Vardan Chorban. Once there was the Chorban, so now they said, okay, as a Zeichel the Chorban, like we have Amma that we scrape out in our house, we do what? Trust me on this one. You're supposed to scrape out the Amma by your house. If you know what I'm talking about, check out that shiur that I gave once upon a time. Okay, and all the other various things, the extra setting that you guys said and all that type of stuff, yeah. So all those stuff that we maybe don't exactly do, whatever. Okay, but it's on the list. And that's where actually, if you look where the Shulchan Aruch puts it, the Shulchan Aruch puts it with the Zeicher L'Chorbans. Fine. So that's where most of the Rishonim held that it belongs. It's the Zeicher L'Chorban. After the Chorban, we're not so happy anymore, and we don't have shiur anymore. We don't have these songs. Okay. And by the way, so the Mishabatla Sanhedrin would be a little lavdafka according to this pshat, because it's not really a vart in Sanhedrin. Meaning, Lefi the Meiri, it's very meduyik. But the chesron of the Meiri is that it's a new category of gezerah. Whereas if you work with the Rav Rishonim, that it's a Vard and Chorban, so it fits into a concept that we see many times in halacha, that we see there are many gezerahs that were given once there was Chorban, so there was many things that it fits into. So it's not a mechudesh tikadin. So that's an advantage of the other Rishonim. Okay.
It's just also
So that's actually an interesting point that Bentzi is bringing up, which I didn't think about, which now Bentzi mentions that it's a good point, that the Sanhedrin actually lasted beyond the Chorban. So the Chorban shot is very interesting that they waited, seemingly, until the Sanhedrin were batal, until they actually instituted that. Why would they wait? Good question. I'll think about it later. I don't know. It's a good question.
I have a Miktas teretz. I don't know if it's like...
Yeah, let's hear what's the teretz.
The Sanhedrin sat in the Beis HaMikdash. They obviously had... It was important for them to sit in the Azara, the main part of the Beis HaMikdash.
Therefore?
I'm saying, therefore, even though their time extended a bit after the Avnei...
You're saying that they really instituted it before they were... when they were batal from their place of sitting.
No, that's not what I meant.
Oh.
Maybe that, but or you could say that they were like an extension, kind of, as long as they were still around, there was still some remnant of...
There wasn't a complete destruction of the Beis HaMikdash as long as the Sanhedrin were around. Maybe. Okay. Fine. So, fine. So that is the Gemara, the Mishnah in Saita. And by the way, I should point out that this implies, the simple mashbais is this is a din specifically in the Beis HaMishtois, whatever, which is the drinking houses, whatever that exactly means. It means maybe when there's a feast or maybe when there's wine, that's the mashbais. And this also doesn't seem like it has anything specifically to do with musical instruments. Shiur seemingly is even any singing would be included within that. You might be able to love dafka, but that's the simple mashmais. Okay, we have a Gemara in Gittin, Zayin and Aleph, where they asked Mar Ukva, what's the source that Zimra songs are asr? Meaning, not asking is it asr or is it mutter. It's pashut, it's asr. There's nothing to discuss. We just want to know the source. We're taking it for granted it's asr. What's the source that Zimra is asr? That these singing is asr. So Mar Ukva provides a pasuk. Now the Gemara asks, why didn't he provide a different pasuk, a separate pasuk, which also implies that that singing is asr? And the Gemara answer is that the Gemara answers from, if we would just use the second source, I would only think that musical instruments are asr. But since we brought his first source, which is really going on top of the second source, probably the way to understand it. There's not the only way of understanding the Gemara. But since he has the first source on top of the second source, that teaches me that both the musical instruments are asr and singing is asr. Now, you should note that this Gemara of Mar Ukva, we have two sources. In short, we have two sources. So from the fact that we have two sources, we can deduce that it is not only asr to have musical instruments playing music, but it's even asr to sing without musical instruments. Now, if you notice Mar Ukva, first of all, it's clear that it clearly specifies musical instruments and without instruments. Number two is there's no requirement of Beis Mishtois, seemingly from the Gemara with Mar Ukva and Gittin. Okay, so in a way you could ask that these two, and some of the Rishonim do present this way, that this Gemara and that Mishnah are seemingly a stira, because the Mishnah in Saita seems to limit it to Beis Mishtois, whereas the Gemara in Gittin seems to imply that it's all-encompassing and always this Isser. So how do we reconcile this? So we're going to have three different, I will call it groups of Shitas in the Rishonim. The first, we'll go from the more Machmer to the more Mekel. So the most Machmer is the Shayos and Shuvas Rambam. The Torah quotes the Shayos and Shuvas Rambam, and the Bach goes this way as well. That they go with the hardline approach. That pretty much the Gemara with Mar Ukva is the Iker. It might even be a chronological point. That originally there was the Mishnah in Saita, which only asered b'beis Mishtais. But by the time that Mar Ukva came around, it was already asered everywhere. And it was, I guess it was Mekubal. Huh?
The Bach Lav Dafka is Lashon in the Mishnah.
Or Lav Dafka. So you could either lav dafka the lashon of the Mishnah, or you could use it as a chronological sequence of events. The problem with the chronological sequence of events is what we usually do to get rid of when you have a steer between Mishnah and Gemara is we use the chronological sequence of events. The problem is that Marukva is quoting psukim, and the Mishnah already had the psukim. So that's why there's a maybe advantage of lav dafking the Mishnah as opposed to say chronological sequence of events. Whatever, there's two ways of dealing with it within these Rishonim and Lemaisa, or Achronim for that matter. And therefore we're going to say that it is usher no matter what. Both musical instruments and singing are usher, both beis mishtois, we'll call that with wine, and without wine. It's all usher. So that's the hard line, Shas Chuvas Rambam, and we'll call it the Bach. That's how we're going to probably be calling it the Bach, and that is the hard line. Then you have we'll call it the middle opinion, which is the sheet of the Rambam. The Rambam says that musical instruments are always going to be usher. Yeah, it's going to always be usher to you to play music with musical instruments. However, singing, that's only going to be usher by a feast with wine. That's going to be with wine. We'll see whether it's only with wine by itself or wine part of a feast. We could see. We'll just call it with wine. So Zak the Rambam, it's also with wine to sing. But if you want to sing without wine, that's Beseder. You want to have music? No, that's also. That is the Shita of the Rambam. Then we have the third Shita, the Shita of Tosfos. Rashi B'Pashtus holds like this as well, that singing and music with wine, that is a problem. But singing and music without wine, that is allowed. So meaning we're really taking the Mishnah as the Iker, and we're fitting the Gemara of Mar Ukva, so to speak. We're lav dafking the Gemara of Mar Ukva to fit into the Mishnah. Meaning the Gemara of Mar Ukva was talking about the Isser, it meant by beis mishtois, it meant with wine. But if you don't have wine, yes, singing is allowed and music is allowed. That is the Shita of Tosfos. Rashi probably holds that way as well. Now Tosfos has two caveats that he throws in there. One is l'kula and one is l'chumra. His caveat l'chumra is that it is true that listening to music, even with instruments, as long as you don't have wine, is allowed. However, if it's the type of thing you act like you're ruggle bekach, you have it going to sleep and you have it waking up with music, which, by the way, was something that only the kings would be able to do back then. You know, once again, when you didn't have an MP3 player, it was a little complicated to go to sleep and wake up to music. You needed somebody sitting there playing for you, right? So if you're ruggle bekach and you're going to sleep and you're waking up with music, that's a problem. Seemingly you have music all the time, that's simply a seira, that's a problem, b'zman ha'chorban. Yeah? So once there's a chorban, once again, we're working with the chorban shot. So once there's a chorban, that's simply a seira. To be ruggle b'kach, that you have music all over the place, even within Shitas Tosfos that allows music. As long as you don't have wine, you could take it too far, and that is taking it too far. So that is his caveat l'chumra. He also has a caveat l'kula, which he says that if it...
is mainly on the ruggle, or it's mainly on the waking up and it's going to sleep? I think I asked you this also.
Yeah, I think we discussed this before. I believe it's the example which illustrates the ruggle b'kach. That's how I learn it. I don't know if I didn't look further into everybody. I don't know if all the achronim agree or disagree with this.
The Torah and everyone brings it down as ruggle. This doesn't say ruggle.
Yeah.
It just says.
Correct. I saw people achronim quote Tosfos as saying ruggle b'kach, even though that he doesn't use those words. Fine. So that seems to be the factor, and it's logical, because who really cares whether you woke up or went to sleep with music? Why should that make any difference? The whole idea is, if you're making it like so common, whatever, that's too much. Bisman ha'chorban. Okay, so let's go. So that's the caveat le chumra, and Tosfos' caveat le kula is that if it's l'tzarech mitzvah kigoin beis chasanim v'kala, if it's for a mitzvah purposes, for example, to be mesameh chasan v'kala, the wedding, maybe even a beis chasanim v'kala, I was wondering, it might also have an implication of Sheva Brachos. I was wondering. I didn't see anybody say, but I'm just. There might be mashma in those words. I'm not sure. So let's just call it a wedding for simple. So if it's a tzarech mitzvah, then it's allowed, right? Tzarech mitzvah is allowed. Now, I guess because that's not a overjoyous stam. No, when you have a mitzvah, you're mesamech in the mitzvah. That seems to be it's not taking it too far. So once again, what's the heter? Because usually Tosfos doesn't allow you to have music with wine. By a wedding or etc., we'll see what etc. includes. You'll be allowed to have music with wine. So once again, let me just quickly summarize the three shitas. There's the hardline Chuvas Rambam Bach approach. Everything's always aser. There's the Rambam approach. Music is always aser. Singing is allowed as long as it isn't on wine. And then you have the Tosfos approach that no wine, all good. As long as you're not ragel b'kach. With wine, no singing, no music. When you have wine. But a mitzvah you're allowed. Okay, those are the three shitas. Now, fine. How do we paskin? L'maisa, how do we paskin? What are we going to do? So the Shulchan Aruch, we open up the Shulchan Aruch, Orach Chaim, Taf Kuf Samach, which, as we pointed out previously, is the siman of Zeicher LeChorban. And in Sif Gimel, he explains that the Mechaber paskins like the Rambam. No shocker when the Mechaber paskins like the Rambam. And the Mechaber seemingly paskins like the Rambam, that music is aser, instruments. Singing is allowed as long as it's not with wine. Okay. I forgot, and he adds a kula, which we already saw in earlier Rishonim. I'll maybe quote it soon. And the Mechaber has a kula that he throws in there that divrei tishbachis, shiur shel haydah, or something that remembers the chasadim of Hashem, talking what the exact look in between all these categories are, but things that are talking about the positive of HaKadosh Baruch Hu seems to be the common thread of them all. Those types of songs will be allowed even on wine. So, once again, general music, aser, no matter what. And if it's singing, it is allowed without wine. But if it's something that shows the positive of Kadosh Baruch Hu, if it's into one of these categories of divrei tishbachos, or shir shel haydah, or remembering the chasadim of Hashem, so when it's something that fits into those categories, that is allowed even on wine. Okay, the Ramah, what does the Ramah say? So the Ramah adds a bikula. He goes like Tosfos, that it's only a problem misharagol b'kach. That's what the Ramah says. It's only a problem somebody that is making this common thread, like the kings that go to sleep and wake up to music. That is a problem. But general listening to music without wine, that would be allowed. And l'tzarech mitzvah, like a beis chosim v'kala, everything is allowed. You're allowed to have instruments with wine, no problem. That is the Ramah. So, okay, Baruch Hashem, everybody can take their big sigh of relief. Sfardim, sorry, you guys have tough luck. Us Ashkenazim, we have a Ramah, Baruch Hashem. The Ramah says,
would mean that a person shouldn't just be playing in his house.
I'll get into this because this Ragel B'kach is going to be very complicated. So, but at least we can take somewhat of a sigh of relief. It's somewhat mutter, right? Because as Ashkenazim, Baruch Hashem, we don't hold like the Sfardim, right? Like the Rambam. Poof, that'd be tough, right? Should we peek at the Mishnah Berurah? Let's see what the Mishnah Berurah happens to say. So you open the Mishnah Berurah and you're like, wait, say what? The Mishnah Berurah goes, and he seemingly is machmir like the Bach. That music, aser. Singing, aser. Aser. With wine, aser. Without wine, aser. Aser. Magen Avram, Bach, these chevra, they're asering everything. All right, at least I'll do the shiurs to the tishbachis. I'll do that. he quotes the Mishnah Berurah quotes the Magen Avram and says, those people that sing use the words like Oidecha ki ani sani vatili. Yeah, that nice song, beautiful, whatever tune you like for Oidecha ki ani sani, and they sing that song like Geschmack. The Torah weeps, sits in sackcloth for people, because people make a bizayin of the Torah and go and talk about these psukim with in their songs. Yeah, geferlich, horrible. So it didn't seem to be a big fan. What's the Magen Avram? You could sing on Shabbos. There's miros, the ones that are in the bencher.
How did they get there?
I don't know how they got there. I'm not sure how they got there. But those ones you can sing. But don't add another one. Don't start anything else besides that. We'll let you do the zmiros that are in the bencher, and that's about it. So the Mishnah Berurah is very hardline. It's making me want to become Sephardi. I mean, yeah, I thought the Sephardim had it rough. Now I see the Mishnah Berurah is going pretty hardcore over here. Oh, so it's not looking so good. Where's Reb Moshe? I bet Reb Moshe is going to help me. So the Magen Avram doesn't hold to the heter. The Magen Avram seemingly doesn't hold to the heter. Oh, he gives the example of Oidecha. There's another thing he says. Actually, those that make songs on Kaddish, yeah. He mamish. He's like, oh, it's the most horrible thing ever. It's a destruction. It's disaster. I don't remember his exact wording, but rough. Yeah. Yeah. So Baruch Hashem, not Pashut. I'm sure Moshe is going to help us, right? He does. We have Chol Yisrael, Chol Stam. We have shaving. We have Kli Shlishi. Moshe is going to help us. I'm sure he's going to help us. Okay, Reb Moshe. So Reb Moshe starts off about pretty much a Baal Nefesh. You know what the right thing to do? A Baal Nefesh should go like the Bach. No music at all, no matter what. Sorry, nothing happening. No music. No. But he seems to be pushing the Baal Nefesh though. Ramesh is pushing the Baal Nefesh, but he's saying the Baal Nefesh should be machmer like the Bach. And by the way, there's not a big chiddush before we go further. Generally, we pass them like when we have a Ramah one way and a Mishnah Berurah the other way. We generally follow the Mishnah Berurah. That's the way that we normally do it. I forgot to mention because Gilan's not here. The Aruch HaShulchan says that we're making like the Ramah, but Lamaisa still, even though there is an Aruch HaShulchan that says we're making like the Ramah, Lamaisa we generally follow the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurahs are Ikar Rebbe, right? So comes along Moshe and says, yeah, Baal Nefesh, this is not surprising, should go like the Bach, which is once again, it's also to sing, it's also to play music, with wine, without wine, it's all also. However, if you want to know what the Ikar Din is, the Ikar Din is like the Rambam, the Mechaber, that the Ikar Din is that music is always usher, and if you want, you could sing as long as you don't have wine. That's the Ikar Din. There are those that makel. Oh no, he holds to the heter simcha. Ramesh holds to the heter. So I'll get to that in a second.
I'm talking about the Rambam himself.
We'll get back there in a second. So it's a good point. I'll get back there in a second. Just lost myself. Ramosha, right? So Ramosha says, and those that are makel like the Ramah and have music as long as it's not on wine, they'll have music. Ein limchos. Don't make a macha. This isn't the worst thing in the world. Don't make a macha. It's not the right correct psak, but don't make a macha against it. Now, it is interesting, even the Mishnah Berurah holds of the caveat of Tosfos that for tzarech mitzvah, it is allowed. So even the hardline Mishnah Berurah is allowing that caveat allowance. Once again, so it could be the Bach. I don't know whether the Mechaber doesn't bring down that kula. I'm not saying he does or doesn't hold to the kula of Tzarech Mitzvah. The Rambam, the Mechaber doesn't bring it down. I don't know if the Rambam does or doesn't. Yeah, open up, check it out. Check me on it. But I'm quite sure that the Mechaber does not bring down that caveat. It's just the Ramah that brings it down. Whether the Rambam says it or not, that I don't remember.
The middle Rambam, the remember Shiur Shas,
No, yeah, correct. Correct. Okay. So Lamaisa, that's how Rav Moshe comes. So Rav Moshe didn't really help us much. He just said, don't make a macha. So what is going on? So the Tzitz Eliezer. So the Tzitz Eliezer says, we go like the Ramah. The minig is to go like the Ramah, and as long as you don't have wine, music is allowed. Okay, that's my type of man. Tzitz Eliezer. Fine. Let's get it warming up more to how I want it. So that's the Shevet Levi. The Shevet Levi says, the Maisa, we should be embarrassed by how makel we are in these halachas, because the Maisa music should be aser. Oh, not so cool. So Tzitz Eliezer says that we go like the Ramah. Now, fine. So far, something strange is going on in this sugya. If I stop the sugya right now, everybody's going to be pretty not so happy. Because I just...
Oh, you told me that I'm depressed, so I can listen to music.
I just answered music, and now we're stuck. We're stuck, because if you learn the sugya right now, and you stop, you're stuck, and music is aser. Let's continue. So this is how I get you guys to watch till the end of the shiur, eh? I got a trick up my sleeve. Okay, so does the Isser apply to recorded music? We know that the Isser was by, live music, because before they recorded music, all music was live. So does the Isser apply, the Gezerah apply to recorded music? So the Chalkas Yaakov says, no, it doesn't. Why? They didn't have recorded music b'shas Gezerah. And if they didn't have recorded music b'shas Gezerah, Mimela, it couldn't have been Bichlal the Gezerah, it couldn't have been included in the Gezerah, and therefore recorded music is allowed. That is what the Chalkas Yaakov says.
More on the reason for the Gezerah.
So once again, the way that Gezerahs usually work is that even if something in theory would fit into the Gezerah, let's get controversial. Why not? You know those guys that scream, there's an Isser Yichud on a computer. You might want to argue that there's a good reason for Isser Yichud, and maybe somebody should act with the Isser Yichud on the computer. But it's very difficult to claim that there's a halachical Isser Yichud on a computer because there was no Isser Yichud said on the computer. I'm just to get the idea. It doesn't mean that it's not a good idea. It doesn't mean get yourself your web cover and do whatever. I'm not saying you shouldn't.
You're hearing music here.
Ah, okay, good. Good.
Music.
So Zakt Rav Moshe and Tzitz Eliezer. He says, I don't care where the music's coming from. The Isser is don't hear music. Don't listen to music. So if the Issers don't listen to music, so you can't listen to music. What do I care whether the music's coming from a violin or the music's coming from a speaker? Who cares? The Issers don't listen to music. You're listening to music, and therefore, Dr. Moshe, it's pashut that a recording device, a speaker, or MP3 player, whatever it is the same thing as recorded music. Tzitz Eliezer says the same. The Shevet Levi, he takes it even a step further. He says like this, you ready? Even if somebody was just singing and it's recorded and you listen to that, that's called kli shiur. This speaker is a device that is playing nice sounds. So since the speaker is a device that's playing nice sounds, that is a kli shiur. And even just singing has a din of music according to the Shevet Levi.
But there, I'm saying the machine isn't creating the sound.
I don't care. This is a kli that's playing sounds. Actually, it's medaikin in the Rambam, because the Rambam, I forgot what the lashon is, but the Rambam says something like anything that makes sound. There's a lashon like that. So Shevet Levi says there was a nevuah of the Rambam that the Rambam used the lashon to include a speaker, anything that makes sound. So it's in the Rambam first.
Right, but if you could learn that opinion that any type of kli, it doesn't have to be miyuchad as an instrument. Any type of kli that can create a sound.
Yeah.
I was thinking about producing, but I wanted to use the word like yaitzer more. That it's the creation of the music.
Lemaisa, the general accepted psak is not like the kula of the Chalkas Yaakov or like the Chumrah of the Shevet Levi. The general accepted psak is like Ramosha and the Tzitz Eliezer. That music's music, and listening from the recorded device doesn't really help us. It's the same as regular music, and therefore it's still not looking so good. Okay, so let's get a little practical. Can one listen to music by weddings? So, as we said, Tosfos, we quoted the Tosfos, that said it's allowed. And the Ramah brings down the Tosfos, right? It's still not in the Mechaber, it didn't change, right? Okay, so it's still only in the Ramah. I think the Sfaradim hold of this as well.
I feel like I don't know why I grouped together the shpachas together with this mitzvah. I'm not sure.
No, I think they're two separate dinim.
Why would you matter shpachas and not mitzvahs? You say mitzvahs and lower together, or just different?
Different. No, I think they're shiurs of the shpachas and mitzvah are two separate gedarim. One is, this is the frivolous music, so to speak, and samechtic music. It's just, there's a time and place for everything. That's why the tzarech mitzvah is allowed. When it comes to shiurs with the shpachas, the vart is, this isn't frivolous simcha. This is focused emotion. Okay. Now, let's get a little bit more practical. So the Mishnah Berurah, who, as we said, who's being machmir in general, is makel by weddings as well. Now, something interesting, in 1865, there was a cholera breakout in Yerushalayim, and they made it, a lot of people think this is a pure Zeicher L'Chorban. It might be somewhat connected to Zeicher L'Chorban, but it's not a pure Zeicher L'Chorban, the Imre Bina, correct? So, the Rameir Orbach, the Imre Bina, he instituted a gezerah that there will be no music played in Yerushalayim, even by weddings. So even by weddings, no music in Yerushalayim. So, fine, and that was the gezerah, and as you know, depending on whether you know or you don't know, actually Yerushalmis, for sure, and we'll discuss who else as well. Even up till today, you go to a wedding, there's no band. There's one guy banging a drum to keep beat and give everybody a headache. That's all there is. But, huh? Yerushalayim, no, only Yerushalayim. It was only Yerushalayim, this takana. Now, where does this extend till? So is it only in the old city? Or is it even the new Yerushalayim? Is it in Tapiot? Is it in Beit Tfus? Where does it go to? So, Rabbi Shlomo Zalman said it's even in the new Yerushalayim. This gezerah applies. You're not allowed to have music by a wedding. Rav Elyashiv, it's very good. I saw all over the place. Rav Elyashiv is quoted on both sides of this. I saw in like 3 different places Rav Elyashiv quoted. Because Rav Elyashiv, by the way, just to be clear, he's the one who you go to. You have to find a mini Yerushalayim. He's been living in Yerushalayim for 200-300 years. Rav Elyashiv was born old, So he's a great person to ask. So he's quoted all over. Over here he's quoted as saying it's the entire Yerushalayim. I saw in other places quoted saying only in the old city it applies. And I saw in other places he says that Ikar Adin is only the old city. Yesh Lahachmer in the whole Yerushalayim. It's unclear what Rav Elyashiv said. Rav Scheinberg said only the old city. But I could see why somebody doesn't want to listen to Rav Scheinberg's opinion on the Yerushalayim. He lives in this country long enough. Okay. So, Lemaisa. Yeah.
His they went all the way back to the Imre Bina. They weren't related.
Yeah. They shared a last name.
Yeah.
So
his grandmother, great-grandmother used to bring him lunch, and she got the bracha for all the...
Interesting. Lemaisa. It's unclear how far this extended. Debatable. Okay. So That was the Gezerah of Yerushalayim. Now, as the Kovetz Mevakshei Torah quotes from Shlomo Zalman, even though there's a Gezerah on music, you're allowed to have you're allowed to have somebody one instrument. And as most people explain, it means one drum. One guy, and if you've never seen this, if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you haven't seen it, it seems very weird to you. It is very weird. You have one guy smacking a drum, and another Hasidish guy singing, and whatever, you get by. Now, some people want to say, and Scheinberg being one of them, it just means one instrument. Now nowadays we have something called a keyboard, a Casio, whatever you want to call those things. And that's able to play lots of music, even though it's a one-man band. So, Zator of Scheinberg and others, that if you're doing that, you're not being over the Gezerah with your one-man band. So you'll see a lot of weddings in Yerushalayim. Sometimes you'll see even fancy weddings in Yerushalayim with a one-man band. There's a big chiluk between the one-man band and the one-drum band. Trust me. It's very different. You know, a one-man band, in my opinion, is like 75% of like a real band in terms of what the taitza is. The drums is like 20%. So whatever. That's how they do it in Yerushalayim. Okay, let's get back out of Yerushalayim. Oh, by the way, the Sephardim never accepted this Gezerah, and the Sephardim always continued to have music in Yerushalayim. Now let's get out of Yerushalayim for a second. Oh, by the way, what about weddings and what about bar mitzvahs, and what about Sheva Brachos, and what about whatever else you want to play music and your Hanukkah party, and your Simchas Beis Shoeva, etc. So the lashon is dvar mitzvah of Tosfos. It's allowed for dvar mitzvah kegoyin, for example, a wedding. So it seems to be for dvar mitzvah in general, it's allowed. Ramosha Feinstein goes on this and says, for all dvar mitzvah, we're allowed to have music. We're allowed to play music for all dvar mitzvah. He had a suffix about a fundraising dinner for a tzedakah organization that has a fundraising dinner. Is that enough of a dvar mitzvah to have music? But Lemaisa, when it comes to any Sheva Brachos or bar mitzvahs or whatever, we're going to be mekel, yeah? Imre Bina was saying there's no music in Yerushalayim even by weddings. The Imre Bina was not cool with bar mitzvahs, and the Imre Bina also didn't like people having a kumzit in the old city. And seemingly nobody else is so happy with that. I'm just so far. Maybe we'll fit in one of our other heterim, even though it's so nice, geschmack and cool and ruchniistic, but might be aser. We'll see. We'll have to discuss. Not everything that feels good is necessarily good, but we'll see. Maybe we'll have some heterim soon. Okay, let's keep on going. Let's leave Yerushalayim for a second. And what about a concert? Could I make a concert? Well, it's a dvar mitzvah because you had that kid who made us see him on Mishnayos and Megillah beforehand. Nah, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. So is the concert allowed? So according to Tshuvas HaRambam, the Bach, where the Mishnah Berurah goes, obviously Asar. Nothing to talk about. Lefi, the Mechaber Svardim, obviously Asar. Lefi, the Ramah, who the Aruch HaShulchan and the Tzitz Eliezer say we follow the Ramah, is it going to be allowed? So as long as you're not serving wine, it would be allowed. So that's something that you should keep in mind, that if anybody has these, I don't know if any of these concerts ever serve wine, but it's a real problem if they serve wine. Probably most people don't chap. You're messing it up if you serve wine. Don't serve wine. Yeah, so even if you have one of these geschmacka concerts where you're having like maybe it's not such a formal Madison Square Garden type concert, but like, a chilled rooftop something or another, don't serve wine. You're messing it up by serving wine because you're losing the Ramah. If we want to be makel, we can make like the Ramah, but don't lose the Ramah. Don't serve the wine. No wine. Because once there's wine, even the Ramah would not allow. Now, it happens to be Ramesh. Huh?
In the pshat that if you're not being ruggled, boy.
So once again, the Ramad saying that even without wine, ruggle's a problem. But with wine, there's a problem.
No, I know, but meaning lack of regulus is a heter.
Even without Regilus, having music with wine is a problem with the Ramah. Because that's how, once again, it's a Mefurish Mishnah. Yeah? So, huh? No, I'm not talking about a big formal event concert. A big formal event concert, people probably aren't serving wine. I'm talking about a matzah. You're making a matzah, you're bringing Chaim David to the rooftop in the old city with the whatever, I don't know what. You know what I mean? You're doing a matzah type thing, a smaller type matzah thing with you bring a singer or whatever, this music. Don't serve wine because you're going to lose the Ramah B'Pashtus. Maybe we'll be able to save the day soon with one of the other heterim, but B'Pashtus, that's going to be a problem. Okay. But the Maisa, the minig seems to be like the Ramah. So, since the minig is like the Ramah, do Sfardim also say the minig is like the Ramah? Maybe. So, if now the minig is like the Ramah, seemingly, how we get there, tzarichin. But therefore, your concerts can be fine. As Rabelsky says, that you go to a concert once or twice a year, whatever. That's not ragel b'kach. And if that's not ragel b'kach, maybe it's fine. Ramosha says something which is difficult to understand. Ramosha says that the Ramah wouldn't be happy with the concerts. Because, I think what the pshat in Ramosha is like this. But it's a big chiddush that Ramosha is saying, chiddush l'chumrah. The whole problem with Ragel B'Kach is you're taking it too far. These concerts are taking it too far. Taking a whole big, massive matzah of simcha and music, that's taking it too far. Meaning even Tosfos holds there's a concept of taking it too far, and perhaps that's taking it too far. That's how Ramosha understands. Once again, if you take the Ramah for what it says, black and white, it would be allowed. Okay. Now,
these things don't fall under together like shiur for tishbachos?
so we're going to get to that possible shiur with tishbachos heter. That may be that's the heter that we're going to discuss soon.
In Jewish concerts, these songs are about like
Mm-hmm.
times.
Yeah, let's discuss it now. Yeah, so fine. Before I just get into the possible heter, I just want to speak about a couple more scenarios, and then we'll get into those potential heterim, which might save the day across the board. Now, what about live music by a restaurant? Apparently, they have these types of things in some places. Live music by restaurants, is that okay? Restaurants that serve wine.
Only part with wine.
Yeah, once again, if you're eating with wine, there is a sheet that says it's only drinking wine without food. But the pashtus is,
if it's just eating.
if it's just eating pashtus, it's fine.
There's no issues of eating with music.
So I don't know. I've heard this thing about eating with music, issues eating with music, and I didn't find anybody that said it. I've heard about it. I didn't find anybody that said it. The only time that you fit into Beis Mishtois seems to be with wine. If you don't have wine, it seems that you don't fit in. I didn't find, maybe there is somebody out there. I was looking. I couldn't find anybody that said it. Maybe if you want to check the deer shoe, maybe you'll find something. Piskei Chuvas, yeah, check the Piskei Chuvas, the deer shoe before the deer shoe. So check, let me know. So the Maisa, what's the heter? Nah, I've seen it in, I'll tell you something, Gefarlach. I was once,
The music's not Jewish, that's
no, I'll tell you, I once went to a restaurant in Manhattan with my wife when we were dating. It was during the 3 weeks. We were middle of our meal, and all of a sudden somebody shows up, a guy, in this restaurant. A lot of people who were eating in this restaurant were goyim. And a guy comes with a guitar and starts playing music. Goyish music. I mean, he's a guy, so. During the 3 weeks. I mean, I think it would be completely usher if it wasn't during the 3 weeks. But, I mean, I don't think we were drinking wine, but there was definitely wine being served in the restaurant. No heter, l'chayra. Tzarchi and gadol. So, I think it is not cool. The playing music by a restaurant that has wine is not cool. Okay. Let's keep on going further. By the way, recorded music by the restaurant. How about that? So once again, if we're working with the Rav Shitas, we're not working with the Chalkas Yaakov. We're working with Ramosh and the Tzitz Eliezer. That recorded music is the same thing as live music. So that restaurant that serves wine, the chayyur should not have any recorded music playing there as well. And I think do these fancy restaurants they have like a little slight background music, right? Or they have real music playing? I haven't been to one of these like fancy restaurants in a long time. No, Kikar Musica is like, that's the spitz. That's the thing. That's actually what I was thinking about when I was thinking about how horrible it is. But I'm just talking about your average fancy restaurant that serves steak and you order a bottle of wine. There's like a slight background music, or there's real music playing.
Regardless, when we get a difference.
I don't know. I haven't. We have to think about it.
Background music is a different.
No, maybe background music is a little bit less because there's no focus on it. It doesn't bring major
A lot of
simcha.
restaurants will have it's maybe more like not like your fanciest restaurants, but like hip, cool restaurants.
Cool
Will
restaurants.
have louder music playing.
Okay. Doesn't sound cool to me. Yeah, it doesn't sound good, right?
I've seen different things.
Okay, fine. The oilam's tightening that there's not so many places to eat anymore. I'm sorry, guys. The Chalom place in Gula, yeah? But do they serve wine there? But do they serve wine? Do they serve
I
wine?
don't think they serve wine, but
Okay, fine.
But it
Then
wasn't because it's music for the customers. It was just
fine, okay. Okay, fine.
like
Now-
here.
Let's keep on good. What about playing music in your house? Would that be allowed? So once again, to play music in your house once in a while, right? Once again, according to our Bach, we got a problem. And according to our Mechaber, we have a problem. But according to the Ramah, who, once again, seems to be the minhag's like the Ramah. So according to the Ramah, you're okay to play music in your house once in a while. But what about, as there are in many people's houses, and in many stores and restaurants, and in camp it was like this, what about that there's music playing the whole time? Is that allowed? So seemingly, we're going to have to try to find some heterim, but seemingly that's a problem. Seemingly, even the Ramah, Tosfos, isn't going to allow music playing the whole time. People have music playing in their house every single day. So the fees, as so far we are in the sugya, we're pretty far in. The Ramah, Tosfos, that would not be allowed. That's ragel b'kach. And l'chayr, that would be a problem. So what is going on? What is the heter? Because the Olam doesn't seem to be keeping these halachas. So I don't want to say everybody's bad.
Music is becoming more and more prevalent. Everyone with their AirPods.
So there's three ways to possibly be mater. So one is the divrei tishbachis that Benzi was referring to. So the Rif says b'shem al-goinim that there's no isser if you're praising Hashem with the music. The Maggid Mishnah says the same as well. The Mechaber, as we pointed out, brings this heter of the divrei tishbachis being allowed. And we said the Mishnah Brura, who was even the hardline Mishnah Brura, he was made. So the Mishnah Brura didn't hold to the heter. I forgot. Sorry, the Mishnah Brura didn't hold to the heter of divrei tishbachis. But the Meister, we don't seem to be going with the hardline Mishnah Brura. So if you look at the lyrics of many of the songs today are talking about Shevach Takadosh Baruch Hu and the Chasadim of Hakadosh Baruch Hu and etc. So maybe that could all be allowed potentially. Now there are some that discuss maybe you need to be mechaven to those words to have the heter. Now, I think most people aren't really being so mechaven necessarily every time there's music playing. And the other problem is try to keep track of which songs are okay and which songs are not okay. I don't think every God Elbaz and Nissan Black song is perfect. In some aren't, right? So it's going to be a little difficult to try to track this and make your playlist. Which songs are divrei tishbachis and which songs are not so divrei tishbachis. And kavana, if you need kavana, so maybe this could be we'll call it a chatzi heter. I don't think it's not going to be a clear cut heter for us, but it could be helpful. I think you'll say that. Okay. Heter number 2 is a lot of people discuss this. That There's a klal that we generally do not apply gezeros to the detriment of a chayla. When it comes to refuah, we aren't geyser. So we're not going to make gezeros to the detriment of the chayla. So comes the Marshag in Hungary once upon a time. I don't know, 150, 200 years ago, the Marshag, something like that. And he says that for people that are depressed, they're allowed to listen to music because, bring up their spirits. A depressed person has a din of a choila, and memela, it is allowed.
But you mean like medically declared depressed?
So we'll get there in a second.
I'm depressed for 5 minutes.
The Mishnah Halachas says that somebody who's listening for depression, I'm just getting a little more modern day, he says somebody that's listening for depression, it's allowed, once again, by refuah, we aren't geyser. Rebelsky says, don't take this too far. If you need it, you can have it, but don't take it too far. Now, some people want to suggest, nowadays, life's hard, life's complicated, everybody's depressed, we're all depressed, and memela music is allowed. Now, maybe I'm a positive thinking guy or something, but I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think that's I feel like that shot is lacking historical perspective. Take yourself back 200 years ago to wherever it was in Europe. So half the people were poverty stricken and starving, and there was massive persecution against Jews in every way, this, that, whatever. People were humiliated. There was premature death all over the place. People had family members dying young all the time. There was tons of displacement. Jews needed to run from here to there, whatever. Obviously, it depended on which tekufa and which time. But you're telling me now we're so depressed. We have it so good nowadays. I'm not saying there aren't people that are depressed, but you think everybody was super happy with that life that they've had. There's always been depressed people, and plenty of them. I don't buy it. I think it's lacking. I feel like it's lacking a historical perspective to say now we're so depressed. Now we have it so hard. Come on.
I know, just to play devil's advocate, because of how much we had, there's much more people
No, I think now we're depressed because we have a lot, and they used to be depressed because they had a little.
If they couldn't afford to be depressed, they were just busy living. We're so spoiled that we have time.
So they didn't get a psychologist that said you are depressed.
That's Pashim Shah. They didn't have time
To be depressed.
Come on, the guy who's starving is so happy. Come on.
No, everybody was like,
Maybe. I don't know. I don't buy it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't buy it.
not my business.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Fun. But I'll tell you a story that happened. I was while preparing the share, I wasn't actively preparing the share, but I was at home. I was a little dull, we'll call it. And right out of nowhere, in the chutzner right next to my house, right outside my window where I was sitting, there comes Sephardi Achnas Sefer Torah, no signs, no nothing. They roll in with music and whatever. I come out, have a couple of shots, start dancing with them, like a schmack. I felt really good. I'm maybe there's taka in something in this. Maybe there's something in this music uplifting, and maybe I should really consider this concept that we need the music to uplift us. And then I said, you know what? Torah loy b'shamayim hi. I'm not accepting the simon. I don't care if Haknas Sefer Torah showed up in my chutzner while I'm supposed to be preparing for the share. Torah loy b'shamayim hi. I'm taking the pshat that I think is emes, and I don't like the pshat. So I didn't let it trick me. Okay, third pshat for potential heter. So the third pshat for potential heter is like this: that this is a thought that I had to be makel. It's true from a technical perspective that we're going to treat recorded music like live music because it's about what you hear, as Moshe and Tzitz Eliezer said. But at the end of the day, the problem was it's simply a seira to have music. Nowadays that we have recorded music around, and there's such easy access. Think about it. Back in the day, before there was recorded music, how many times a year did somebody hear music? I don't know, probably 4 times a year you heard music. How often would somebody hear music? You get a band together. It probably wasn't very common. So nowadays that there's music with such easy access, you can listen to every minute. So it's not bringing to the simcha that it once did. Now it doesn't mean that we should chuck the whole simon out in the garbage. However, that will explain why we may hold like the Ramah today. Because since music isn't nearly as meaningful as it used to be, and therefore it doesn't bring us to the same level of simcha as perhaps it once did, according to my theory, therefore there's more reason to be makel like the Ramah, because it's not so bad if we hear music. It's not bringing us to this simcha yasera. We're allowed to have a little simcha, but it's not bringing us to simcha yasera, hearing a little music. Music's normal.
Who says this?
Me. And furthermore, so that's why we're going to be making like the Ramah perhaps. And even perhaps, this might be a stretch, I'm asking it might be a stretch, maybe there's more of a limit schus than a psak, so to speak, if you know what I mean. But even to listen to it all the time, which the whole problem of the Ramah was, based on Tosis, that's ragla b'kach, you're taking it too far, this music. You're taking it too far. There's a chorban. Listening to music, having people playing instruments for you all day. Nowadays, you flip on the MP3 player, the speaker, the Alexa, whatever it is. It's not taking it too far anymore. It's not ridiculous. It's not crazy, because music's not such a big deal anymore, relatively to when before you had recorded music. So therefore, that's perhaps we'll call it a limit schos on all the people.
If this was a psak, then it actually would make a difference, let's say, for recording versus live, no?
Right, but I want to say even live music nowadays is less of a big deal than it used to be.
You go and hear live?
No, I don't hear live music so often. But since I hear recorded music so often, therefore the live music is less of a big deal, because I'm hearing music all the time. So even the live music, I'm not saying to throw the whole sif in the garbage, but I'm just being at least a limit schutz. My beard is not long enough, and I don't wear a frock, so I can't say this as a psak and kach zaken, but it's my netiya. This school.
The thing is, I hear what you're saying. It's like in the 9 days of showering, right? Like they asked of showering because there's a tiny of Yisera, but nowadays we don't. It's not to us. Like it's totally different, right? But we still keep the.
Correct.
You're saying even if we're not listening to something.
Putting aside the dinner.
No, so that's why.
Not that these days.
That's why the last point I'm scared to say. The first point I'm somewhat confident to say. Therefore, we can be making like the Ramah. Because I have a shita. Right. To take it that step further, that's why I'm saying my beard isn't long enough and I don't have a frock. So therefore, it's a little, and my top button I think is open, right? So I don't think I could say that shot. You know what I'm saying? But okay, fine. Now, fine, very good. Now, just to take this a little bit further, let's go back to the 3 weeks for a second. So as we said in the 3 weeks, it doesn't say anywhere that by the 3 weeks you can have music. Why not? So we already discussed the Kafei Aaron, who says that because it's usher all year round. So what do you need to tell me during the 3 weeks? The Pechacha and the Aruch HaShulchan say it's a Kal V'chomer. If dancing is usher, then certainly music's usher. Now it's very interesting because that Kal V'chomer doesn't work so simply anymore. Because nowadays, what's a bigger deal, a bigger simcha? Playing some recorded music in your house or dancing? So it's very interesting. The Kal V'chomer doesn't really work anymore in modern day. Once again, I guess since the Kal V'chomer worked at the time that the Shulchan Aruch wrote that you couldn't dance, so that Kal V'chomer still stands, and therefore you can't have music. Now, what about singing? So the Steichem, it said singing's not included. Singing is allowed. Rav Moshe Feinstein and Rav Yashiv say singing that's going to bring to Simcha Yisera, that is still a problem. What about a cappella music? So it happens to be there's surprisingly, a lot of people think that everybody's mater, but surprisingly, none of the big name poskim were willing to put their name on being mater a cappella music. So 2 types of a cappella.
Right,
Yeah, so I'm going to get there in a second.
Shiur, and one is like the acapella, it sounds like music.
Yeah, and there's really a third category we'll get to in a sec in the a cappella. But the mice, none of the Rav Yoshevs and the Moshe Feinsteins and the Rav Shlomo Zalmans, none of them actually mattered a cappella. I heard somewhere quoted, didn't see the real source, that Rav Zilberstein is matter. That was the biggest name that I saw anybody put on it. Once again, I didn't even see that inside. But nobody seems to want to actually put their name to it. It doesn't seem like it's so pashut, but the minhag olam seems to be makel with it. Once again, maybe a depression thing or whatever, I don't know, but I just find that interesting. And I would say a step further, there's singing, and then there's a cappella, which is like a bunch of guys in the 70s going blah, 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 and making noises that sound like drums or whatever. And what they do nowadays is they digitally change the sounds.
Auto-tune.
Auto-tune, is that what it's called?
Sometimes they use that.
Yeah, and they digitally, whatever. To me, it just sounds like playing music. I don't know. It doesn't.
Sometimes you can't even tell.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very good to me. I don't like it. I think it should be a problem, but I'm not coming here to answer. It's not my job. Fine, the mice of the minhag seems to be mekel, the acapella, tzarichi, and gadol.
Where the mice did this come from? It's not brought anywhere in the 3 weeks. Like, where did it get?
So once again, the Pachacha and the Aruch Shulchan say it's a Kal V'chomer. The Shulchan Aruch says that Rikidim v'Mecholis are Asur, and they learn it's a Kal V'chomer. But it's not actually brought down. So,
Rikudim and Mechilas probably have. You're not just silently like.
sure you could.
I'm not.
You ever did the Kiddush Lana before?
Singing.
That's singing. They're singing there.
Ah. So you're saying...
I'm saying it doesn't ever make sense that you'll have dancing without something.
No, but they didn't say the Kal V'chomer to say that singing was Asur. They did the Kal V'chomer to say that music is Asur.
Oh, so music you'll have a shiur, but the mice, whenever you're dancing, there's going to be at least singing.
Hopefully, unless you're like a really strange litvak. Okay. Staying...
It's not like the whole thing of like Rikudim and Mechilas, not really your topic, but like when people sing and do circles about like a vart during the 3 weeks, really it's not so simple.
A vart? Well, vart might be a heter by a vart. Potentially. Fine. Actually, you're right. You really shouldn't. It says by Erisin, you're not supposed to, actually. Sorry. It says, the Mishnah Berurah says, right? You're allowed to have Erisin, but you can't have the music. Right. So you're right. Probably isn't a heter. Probably not. Once again, if you need music to stay up while driving, that you're allowed to have the music. Because once again, you're not having the music for simcha. You're having it to stay up. And that is allowed. What about during exercising? So I think this is a little bit abused. Let's put exercising into two categories. There's exercising for fun and geschmack, and there's exercising for health. If you're exercising for fun and geschmack, there's no heter of listening to music. If you're exercising for health purposes, that's the main reason why you're exercising, I'm still going to divide that into two categories. While you're listening to music while you exercise for health, if you're listening to music because it's geschmack to exercise with music, then it's asur. If you're listening to music because you need the music to exercise, it's very difficult for you to exercise without the music. Not because it's more geschmack to have the music, but it's just, it doesn't work. You can't run without music or whatever. Then it would be allowed, because once again, the music's not there for simcha. The music is there for exercise. Shkech, thank you for listening. And then stop.